So Siddhartha, before heard about, well, read the reviews and known about the book, I always thought it was about Gautama Buddha, also originally Siddhartha Gautama or Siddhartha. That's the biographical, I thought Hermann Hesse kind of wrote a book about him. But that wasn't the case. After listening multiple times and a couple of people mentioning the book, I'm like, all right, I want to read the book, understand what's it about, and I'm so glad I read this book. Hermann Hesse, you got to go back into his history. There's stories about him why he wrote Siddhartha. He wrote it when he was going through a tough period of his life, and I believe Carl Jung actually suggested him to go to India and do some into the meditation and all that stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what I read, but without looking up right now, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure of that story. But anyway, Herman wrote this story. This is not a long read. I would say 5, 6 hours max, maybe even less than that, depending on how fast of a reader. But it is pretty intense on going the journey. If you try, he doesn't put too many words, he doesn't put too much information in the sense explanations, letting, I think, people interpret it how they want it to or how where they are at, perhaps. But it's Siddhartha is a journey of a young Brahmin boy in India, journeying through where he was always deemed to be essentially a great sage from his childhood to him actually having to meet Gautama or Siddhartha Gautama, the real one, in his life to seek the knowledge he was seeking. And the whole story is about the seeking we're seeking beyond ourselves is completely the foolishness of, or not foolishness, but the more what the book is telling is everything lies within us, and there's cyclical things happening. And what Siddhartha experiences is he experiences the exact thing he did to his parents through his son, which happens accidentally, not by design, where he goes through the phases of being an ascetic to basically a family or wealthy, merchant, to back to being an ascetic and living by the river and learning a lot from the silence of the river. There's a lot to it. I don't know if I can even explain and everything in it, but the whole thing it teaches him through his son and the merchant life he lives, and from the ascetic life he led to what he learned from Gautama Buddha in one encounter to ultimately realizing the Buddha within himself, end of life, is fantastic. I probably need to read one more time or twice. Maybe 6 years ago, I wouldn't have gotten what I've gotten reading it now, where I'm at my journey, dwelling into meditation, all these books, and also getting deep into trying to get deep into my own self, who the person I am, or is I'm a really a person, body and the brain, which is different from the soul or never ending being people are. Okay, I know some of you might think woo woo, but that's where you are. And I used to be that way, thinking, what are you talking about? But now I'm in different phase. But highly, highly, highly recommend Siddhartha. I think it's worth reading 2 or 3 times to truly understand what's being said. And since it's not a lot of explanation, there are a lot of nuances. I think people might miss reading the first time. But I think that's same about any book we read. There's a lot of nuances we miss because we only can understand 7% what we read or listen to, normal people. Maybe you're highly evolved where you can concentrate on people and fully be present on what you're reading, maybe 30, 40%, maybe. either way, I don't know if anybody can do 100%. That's my opinion, but I could be wrong. I don't know if there's anybody who can get 100% on the first read or first listen of somebody. Anyway, highly recommended read, Siddhartha Hermann Hesse's. Great book. Lot of life lessons and philosophy in the small book, but it's not very detailed. That way you might have to parse it, listen, read it multiple times to truly understand what's being said.